Business, Bets, and Buddies, the Hounds of Business Fantasy Football League. Join us each week throughout the football season as some of the world's top podcasters discover new businesses, make silly fantasy football bets amongst friends, and promote positivity around the globe. This show could not be possible without the support of Mike King and ESPN Richmond. A special thanks to our sponsors, Caregiving Worldwide, Brilliant Bee Media, and the Walking Tall Movement. Well, look at we have here, Mr. Mark Reid, my good friend from Japan. At the open of this show, we said, 10 of the world's best podcasters, and we mean that. We're not bound to just the United States. You, my friend Mark, are in the great nation of Japan, but for those that don't know, go ahead.
Oh, I'm number 10 on that list. I just snuck in. On the 10 greatest podcasters, they were looking like, who's the 10th? That's that guy Mark in, I guess.
Well, we actually have 11 because the Soaring Profits count as 2, but one team. But anyways, for those that don't know, I'm Chris Maliszewski. I'm one of the co-founders of the Walking Tall Movement, and it's our honor to be a sponsor of the Hounds of Business Fantasy Football League, Business, Bets, and Buddies. In the open, you've heard we're 10 of the top podcasters across the world combined to highlight other businesses and do good in the world. And it starts with you, my good friend Mark. So if you don't mind, let everybody know who you are and who you got with us today.
Well, I am, as you said, Mark Reid. I am the host of Zen Sandwich. And sandwich is the funny way you spell it and say it. Sandwich, S-A-M-M-I-C-H. You can find that on Spotify, Apple, anywhere you get your podcast fix. I am also the league leader in the Hounds of Football Fantasy Football League. 4-0, baby.
You are 4, and you know what? To be fair, and you have to admit this yourself, I should also be 4-0. In my opening week's game, I had Aaron Rodgers as my starting quarterback, and the dude didn't even make it out of the first set of downs and cost me a W. So I know you're proud of your 4-0 record, but I should also have one too myself, my good friend.
You actually are the league leader in total points scored.
Am I really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I'm a nerd, man. I'm looking up all these stats all the time, and you're actually the league leader in points.
All right, I'll take it. And I know you love football, being a big Bama fan you are. I had the privilege of hanging out with you the other night as that game was going on, as they were whooping up on Mississippi State. But speaking of whooping up, here we go, Roll Tide. I beat up on Ben this week. So the failure guy failed once again, and Ben Currier went down in a blaze of glory as I whooped him up pretty good this week. And I'm showing no mercy. Like I said, I'm not planning on losing the rest of the season.
Yeah, I put the hammer down on Mike Ashabraner, whatever his last name is. The thing is, I can't talk trash anymore because he and I talked so much trash before the season even began. It's like I feel bad now. It's like, you know how your hashtag is walk tall? His hashtag should be words hurt or words hurt Mark Reid. Because he gets his feelings hurt all the time. So I'm like, I can't even talk trash that I kicked his tail.
He admits he doesn't know much about football. But you know what dawned on me as I was thinking about today's show? And, that, as I said, this is a Hounds of Business Fantasy Football League. And I'd be remiss if I didn't just give a quick shout out to that community, which we're all a part of. But one thing that, I never had in my life, or actually two things I never had in my life, but for the Hounds of Business, is I never had a redneck and I never had a Zen master. And so now I have both with Mike and Mark. Yeah, I got both. So I can't say enough about the Hounds of Business and all it's done for me personally and the Walking Tall movement. But Mark, I know you got a great guest you want to bring on and reveal to the world. So why don't you let us know who that is?
I do. I'm excited because she is a handful. My guest today is Dana Sardano. She is an author, a podcaster, a mother goddess, an entrepreneur, a free spirit, a potty mouth. Watch it today. We're on ESPN Radio in Richmond. A charismatic soul, a creative spirit, an influencer, a muse. What else? Did I leave anything else? Dana,
say more things.
Keep going.
Who are you? Why are you here, Dana? Tell us about your show and the book.
Oh, my goodness. So I'm here because you invited me, and I appreciate it. Thank you. And so we'll start with the show because that's how you know who I am, I guess. I myself and my co-host Angela DeMarco, we do a little show called Going Commando with Angela and Dana. And the purpose of this podcast is to really, I mean, obviously in the name, dropping the masks, dropping the walls, dropping our drawers, saying what's on our mind, and just really giving people permission to do the same. It's about authenticity, and we just want people to understand that it's okay to be you. Not everybody has to like you, but you get to like yourself, and get out there and do it. And so the business that Angela and I run together, it's called Uniquely Phenom Collaboration. And there is not enough time to explain how we got there and really the large umbrella of what it's all about. But I'll just tell you our tagline is storytelling for the sake of humanity. And we do it through many avenues, whether it be, we publish books, we have an online learning platform. I write books myself. We do workshops. We do a storyteller series on LinkedIn. I said I wasn't going to talk about all the stuff, and I'm already.
That's awesome. I mean, you're obviously like the 11th best podcast in the world. I mean, if you were in top 10, you
just
would have been in.
Yeah, I know. I didn't want Mark. You had to point that out, didn't you? No.
Well, I'm just saying that I think next year I won't be in the league, and it'll be you, Dana. You'll be inviting me onto the show. So.
Right on.
There you go.
Dana, do you have a football team that you fancy?
That I fancy?
That you fancy?
The way Chris talks. He's from Iowa.
That's how I talk. Yeah, whatever.
I'm from Jersey. We don't fancy stuff in Jersey.
No fancy shit in Jersey.
But no. Being from Jersey, we always it was all about the Giants. Lived in Tampa a while. It was very about the Bucks. So I guess wherever you're living. So I'm in Stuart, Florida now. So I guess Jaguars, Miami. So no, to answer your question, no.
Let me offend some people here. Is Jersey even a state or just an extension of New York City and Philadelphia?
Yeah, so it's this part of New York, right? And it's this part of Jersey. It's funny because it's the Garden State, right? So people get off a plane in Newark, New Jersey, and that's what they see. They see like this disgusting cesspool. Yeah. I mean, I'm being honest, but I'm from the Jersey Shore.
I've been to the Jersey Shore. 2 years ago, I went and saw Pearl Jam in Asbury Park at See Here Now Festival. And I got to go to Danny Clinch's gallery and see a bunch of his photography of music artists and things. But Mark, have you ever, before we, bring Theo on, have you ever been to Jersey yourself?
Oh yeah. Well, I lived in New York City. I lived in Manhattan for a while. And then I've been to Atlantic City and lost a bunch of money. That's why I'm bitter.
Well, speaking of traveling, that our next guest, Mr. Theopolis Theo Powell, I've known since we were talking backstage in 1997 or 1998. I met him in high school and I became a super fan. So if our producers extraordinaire wouldn't pull up a quick photo that I shared of me being Theo's super fan. So here I am in 1998. If you can't see, here I am on the far right with a basketball hoop around my head. I cut out a basketball. I put a saber through the middle, and I was Theo's super fan. And so thinking back on the glory days, Theo would just revealed himself to be one of the kindest, gentlest, biggest humans I've ever met in my life. And he and I hit it off immediately over our love of athletics and professional wrestling. And we've been friends ever since. And as all things happen in life, we both were college athletes, Theo playing basketball and I baseball. We went our ways for a little bit of time. And if not for the Walking Tall movement, we wouldn't be back in each other's lives. And so I've been so honored to rekindle our friendship and get to know, what's been happening in Theo's life. And so Theo, as your super fan, it's my honor to have you on. And if you don't mind, tell folks a little bit about who you are, your background, where you've been, and where you're at right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, thank you for having me on. It is weird to think that we've been friends for this long. I always think the most interesting thing about when you make friends in high school is I don't remember when we met, just one day we weren't friends and the next day we were friends. So I couldn't tell anyone what our origin story is as far as meeting each other. Just one day we were friends and we've been friends for 25 years now. So, like Chris said, we also grew up in kind of a similar neighborhood as well. So, I mean, we were maybe a 5-minute walk from each other, if that.
Yeah.
I think one of the first times I went over there was for me to go watch WCW Halloween Havoc. I think Hulk Hogan was going to fight Bret Hart. Yeah. He was going to fight Bret Hart that night or something like that. And you're do you want to come over and watch wrestling? And I was more of a WWF guy, so I was more of a Stone Cold Rock type dude. But I'm like, yeah, I'll hang out with this guy. You know, he's ordering pizza. He's gonna have wrestling on. Yeah, I'm in.
And now you're
Let's
stuck
do
with
it.
me.
Yeah, now 25 years later, here we are, still hanging out. But yeah, so like Chris said, you know, we definitely grew up together. I actually went into played college basketball at Carthage College, which is in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Loved my experience there, and you know, actually growing up as a kid, like baseball was my first love. Like I used to love baseball. I wasn't very good, but like it was my favorite sport. And then between 8th grade and freshman year of high school, I grew about 9 inches. So I was like 5'6" in 8th grade, and then I was 6'3" going into freshman year of high school. So I was like, okay, well, let's give basketball a shot. And then I grew 4 more inches throughout high school. So I'm 6'7" right now. So that's how basketball kind of became a thing for me. And I got better, you know, over time. Played in college, and I actually played overseas for 3 years. Played in Ireland, Mexico, and Austria. So that was my first, you know, quote unquote job out after college, was playing ball professionally, you know, overseas. Another like quick side note with me and Chris, the first time I was ever on a plane was with Chris. We flew to Cancun for our senior trip after high school. So that was the first time I'd ever
And we
been
were
on a
well
plane.
behaved, Theo. We were,
Yes,
as far as everybody
exactly.
knows, we were well behaved. We didn't get any trouble. Nobody
That's right.
got hurt. Nobody was in a wheelchair, except for me.
Definitely a G-rated trip. It was a G-rated trip. Just a lot of
G-rated trip.
a lot of Disney movies and Capri Sun for a week, and then fly back home. So
That's right.
Can I ask Theo? Can I ask
ahead.
a question? So when your playing days were over, did you want to go into coaching at all, or did you do that?
I was actually helped out Carthage's like junior varsity team for a year, and that's when I realized that coaching is not my thing. It's
not
not
your
my jam
thing.
at all.
Yeah.
No. So it was one of those things where I was like,
But then
I
you
want to
went
do
and
it
worked
to
for our
help out.
beloved.
Yeah. So after I coached for a little bit for Carthage, I did some performance sports training. So like, you know, bigger, stronger, faster. And then after that, I left and went and worked for the Chicago White Sox in the front office for 4 seasons. I was a part of that guest relations staff. So basically that means is working with the staff to, you know, help give the fans a better experience. So
Nice.
our biggest time of year is basically from January to March to get a lot of people don't know this, but there's about 4,000 people that work in a ballpark on the day of a game, from opening everything up to shutting it down and cleaning up at the end of the night. So that all those people have to go through training every single year. So that's what my department did for you know, like I said, January through March. And then after that, I went and worked at Carthage again, but doing admissions and financial aid. So working with families, you know, trying to help them figure out how they're going to afford college and FAFSAs and student loans, different things like that. And then now I'm currently, which is, you know, the perfect fit for me, is financial service professional with New York Life. So again, helping people figuring out their finances, you know, figuring out, you know, protecting their loved ones, protecting their retirement, you know, all that fun stuff. And you know, I've been doing that for about the past 5 years now.
Sweet.
Theo, important question for you. Are you
Hit
going
me.
commando right now?
No.
Dana, how did you come up
I
with
am
that?
not.
Like, how did you come up
I
with
will
the
admit,
name
by
of
the
your
way,
show?
before you answer, Dan, I will confess, you know, because it's morning time for me. I'm here in Japan. I am from the waist down in my jammy jams right now. You can't see that. But I
you know,
am below the table. I'm in my jammy jams. Anyway, go ahead.
I love it.
And so it's now what, Wednesday morning for you, Mark?
Yes, it's 8 a.m. for me. It's 8:15
All
a.m.
right.
for me.
Well, it's
Dana, back
evening
to you.
here, and just so you know, for the waist down, I too am in my jammy jams. Jammy jam, buddy.
Well, this will be 6:30 in the morning on Friday in ESPN Richmond, so jammy jams would be just as acceptable.
There you
Yeah,
go.
we're jamming.
That's
So
What was
to
the-
answer
what
your
was the
question
original-
about
yeah.
the going command, oh, forgive me.
Yeah.
No, that I was saying,
Commando.
what was the question? Yeah.
So when Angela and I decided to do a podcast together, we were actually calling it, this is ridiculous, but we were calling it Cuddle Talk, because I always talk about my husband. I would like cuddle. So we were like, cuddle, we're going to Cuddle Talk. And the idea was to actually be in our jammy jams and just be away from our desks, you know, in a futon somewhere in comfortable clothes, really, again, the same premise, allowing people to just kind of be who they are. And it was like an interview show. And we were interviewing, we have you instructors on our educational platform, because it's Find Uniquely You. So they're you instructors. So we were interviewing them. And every once in a while we'd be like, let's not interview somebody. Let's just do it together. And when we would work together, well, we'd have the show together. We were like, this is really cool. But we were like, yeah, let's go commando this week. You know, let's strip down to the skivvies. Let's strip one person down and go commando. And then we decided, we like going commando, and we dropped that whole format of having interviews. Every once in a while we pull somebody on, but it's she and I stripping it down in her GMs going commando.
I love
It's
it.
a much better title than Cuddle Talk or whatever.
Yeah,
like I want to listen to Going Commando. Not that I wouldn't listen to Cuddle Talk too, but I'd feel a little,
Mark, is Commando Zen-like? That's another, deep thought question I have.
You don't get more Zen than Going Commando, baby.
Hang it.
It's
all about nature. Zen is all about nature, man.
And Theo, what was, in your travels overseas, you played in 3 countries, real quick, what were the differences in the crowds and the passions for the game? What was that experience like? Not many folks get to live that. I'm sure some folks are interested.
Yeah. So actually, like all the places were different, or were like awesome in their own different way. But the first game I played at in Austria was super weird because there was a smoking lounge like in the arena, and it was definitely just seeping down onto the court. So obviously, like, you don't do that here in the States. So like that being like your first professional game, like that definitely kind of throws you for a loop. But it was big there because that was obviously like European basketball has gotten bigger and bigger over time. So like, Dirk Nowitzki was like everyone's favorite player over there. So like that was huge for when I was in Austria. And then when I was in Ireland, it was growing slightly. It's definitely way more soccer and rugby type of country as far as basketball goes. And then Mexico, it was huge. Like one of the first games we played against the national team from Uruguay, and there was 14,000 people there, and that was the most people I ever played in front of in my entire life. So all of them are different in their own kind of ways.
Mark, you were telling me the other night, speaking of big crowds, you have a big ticket in your house that you're going to go. A big sumo tournament's coming up, one of the big 4 ones, right? What's that all about? Like Theo and Dana, he's going to a legitimate sumo wrestling match, like one of the country's top ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they have 6 a year, and I could do a whole podcast on sumo, man. I'm a sports nerd. People will ask. I've been asked over the course of my life, hey, you're a sports fan, do you like sports? I'm like, dude, I like every sport. I could be sitting in a bar and like Romania is playing the Czech Republic in water polo, and I will find a reason to root for one side or the other. I'm pulling for Romania because I like Rome. I don't know, like I'll just pick a dumb reason, and I'll just pull
Romania
for one
is not
side.
In Rome.
I'm well aware, and I know where it is. But
you're smarter than I, of course you do.
I just like sports. So, and I'm also I'm a win in Rome or win in Tokyo kind of guy. So I like sumo when I'm in Japan. And so I pay attention to it. I know actually the radio people can't see this little banner back over here. That's my favorite rikishi, which means sumo wrestler. That's Wakataka Kage. I know all of them, man. I'm a total
Say that
nerd.
Again?
Wakataka Kage. And he's injured right now. He's out. But
Theo, the
anyway.
only sumo wrestler you and I ever knew was Yokozuna.
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
he's
not Japanese.
WWE.
Yeah.
See, that's actually a title in sumo. Like that's the highest rank. That's like having the heavyweight champion belt. If you're a Yokozuna, you're the highest rank.
And Theo, you and I love sports.
Hulkamania. Yeah.
I don't want to hear about that, but you and I love sports, and we've often bonded over our love-hate relationship with the White Sox and the Bears. We were just reminiscing the other day. One high school year after our homecoming, I think your dad got us some tickets to the Bears-Eagles game, and we froze our ass off tailgate. And I remember having my little Smokey Joe outside Old Soldier Field. Remember that?
Yeah, no. So that was, like you said, it was homecoming weekend. So Friday and Saturday were definitely some long days for us. So I don't remember if it was you that drove, but I remember the ride home was super quiet because everyone except for the driver was just dead out and asleep just from the long weekend.
Yeah, Dana, what's this tailgate scene like up in New York when you go to Giants or Jets games?
Well, I wasn't clear. I haven't been up there in a long time. I moved to Florida. Okay. I went to college in Tampa and been down here for a long time. But when I was in high school, we used to go, and it's like any other tailgate scene. Everybody's getting drunk and loud, except you're in Jersey. They'll say New York, but except you're in Jersey, so you're even drunker and louder.
Drunker and louder. Is that a requirement of being from Jersey? You got to be drunker and louder than folks from New York?
I think so. I think we pride ourselves on that. I think that's part of our gig, right?
I can answer that for her. Yes. Jersey people.
You know, my co-host Angela DeMarco, she's from New York. She's from Long Island, and you know, when you say you're from Jersey, she's like, "I'm sorry." Like that's how the New Yorkers look at it. Oh, I'm sorry. But
Well, wait a second.
Yeah.
Let's not give the Strong Island people a pass here, because those Long Islanders got their own voice.
they get their own thing, right?
Yes, they got their own thing.
Strong Island. Well, you know, we have just a few minutes before we got to wrap up, and I want to just give everybody time, one last moment to just let everybody know who you are, where people can find you, how they can work with you or listen to your show. And Dana, if you don't mind, we'll start with you. This has been a heck of a lot of fun. I can't wait to keep going commando moving forward now. And so please let our listeners know who you are, where they could find you, where they can listen to your show, all things about you.
First, I want to thank you guys for having me. This is really cool. You guys are awesome, so thank you. And as far as where to find me, again, my name is Dana Sardano. I'm an author, an artist, an educator, all of these things. I'm not going to give you 50 websites, but if you check out Going Commando with Angela and Dana, I think you'd really get a kick out of it. And if you want to get little shorts or get little pieces, if you go on LinkedIn and you connect with me, Dana Sardano again, or Angela DeMarco, we post a reel every day, and it's always ridiculous. So join us.
Ridiculous is something we like, Mark, isn't it?
Hey, that ridiculous is one of my middle names. I've got a few. Yeah.
Awesome.
And Theo, you and I, you know, I'm so glad to be able to share this platform with you, and thank you so much for all you've done for the Walking Tall movement and the kindness you've brought into the world. So please let people know how they could find you, you know, connect with you on LinkedIn, and if they need some services from the financial sector, where they can find you and get a hold of you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, definitely. Thank you for having me on. This was awesome. Wasn't 100% sure what to expect, but this was definitely really cool. So I'm glad I did it. Yeah, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. You'll actually find me underneath Theopolis Powell. That's my full name is Theopolis, Theopolis. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. Share a lot of content on there, just as far as like financial services, different things that are going on in the world. Even if you just have general questions, feel free to reach out and ask on there. And then, or you can reach me on my email address, and that's tjpowell01 at ft.newyorklife.com. But more than happy just to help and educate and answer any questions that anyone might have.
Yeah, and if you ever need somebody to brighten your day, if you haven't noticed, and I know we're going to be on the radio, but Theo has one of the brightest and biggest smiles, and he'll light up your room just by his presence. So Mark, my good friend, this won't be the last of us. We will meet again at some point.
Not by a long shot.
When we beat you. But please, Zen Sandwich is just amazing. I've been so fortunate to be able to get to know you and listen to your work. It's inspiring, and it gives me something to shoot for. So let everybody know where they can find you.
Well, yeah, just type in Zen Sandwich. I don't have any competitors. There's no like Zen Hoagie or anything like that. So just Zen Sandwich on Spotify, Apple, or you can go to zensandwich.com. You can even donate to the show if you want. That, you know, I need to pay the bills. And yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn as well. You have to look under my name, Mark Reid, REID. And that's it. Yeah. And I'm #1 in the fantasy league. Did I mention that? I'm leading.
You haven't yet. No, thanks for informing us.
Raquel Borath is next. I just want to, if she watches this, you're next, Raquel. All right.
It's so fun. Well, as I said earlier, my name is Chris Maliszewski. I am one of 3 co-founders of what we call the Walking Tall movement. We are a mental health movement aiming to inspire all of humanity to be more approachable, vulnerable, and to walk tall in their lives. We're founded out of tragedy. 2 of us are mass shooting survivors, and a doctor of psychology are hoping to just instill good in the world. And we can be found at www.walkingtallmovement.com. We also have all the social channels. And then I myself am fairly active on LinkedIn, hoping to bring a smile to people's faces. And just Chris Maliszewski. There's not too many of me, although there are some, but none like me, right, Mark?
You are unique.
But as we, yeah, exactly. But as we sign off, I just want to thank our sponsors, obviously Mike King and ESPN Richmond, Caregiving Worldwide, the Hounds of Business Community and Mike Ashabraner, Raquel Flores and her Connection Corner, Brilliant Bee Media and COS Atorat, and of course the Walking Tall movement. So before we sign off, guys, anytime I'm on a show, we always got to end with 2 words. Theo, you probably know what they are. Mark, you've heard me before. And Dana, I'm sure you can guess. They're walk tall. So before we sign off, let's tell our listeners to walk tall. What do you guys say?
But
All right, folks. Well, have a great rest of your week and walk tall.
walk tall.
Walk tall.
Walk tall.
Walk tall, everybody. Walk tall. Hit that out. This show would not be possible without the support of Mike King and ESPN Radio. A special thanks to our sponsors, Caregiving Worldwide at caregivingworldwide.com, Brilliant Beam Media at brilliantbeammedia.com, and the Walking Tall Movement at walkingtallmovement.com. Walk tall.